Unrevealed Schemes: How My Father's Dismissal Ignited My Revenge, a game changer in our family war. When I received the news that I was being dismissed from my job after 15 years, I felt my world collapse. My heart raced as I sat in the sterile office, blinds drawn, listening to my boss explain how the company was shifting gears. I had dedicated my life to this job, pouring my soul into every project. Now, I was being shown the door like a forgotten relic. As I exited the building, I spotted my family's car parked outside, their laughter echoing through the air. They had no idea of my turmoil. I forced a smile, hiding my pain, but deep down, betrayal simmered. Arriving home, I was met with a celebration. My husband Grant and stepson Titus were sharing stories about their day, laughter filling the air. I felt like an intruder in my own home. "Mom, you should have seen the game," Titus exclaimed, oblivious to my inner conflict. As I stood there, the weight of my dismissal pressed heavily on me. When I finally broke the news, their reactions stunned me. Instead of sympathy, I was met with laughter. "What did you expect, Mom? You were always too soft for that job," Grant scoffed, and my heart sank. I felt humiliated, grappling with the betrayal from those I loved most. "Maybe it's time to consider a new path," Grant said dismissively, interrupting my attempt to explain how I felt. "You're overreacting, Zafira. It's just a job." His words stung, deepening my isolation. I had sacrificed so much for this family, and now, with a wave of his hand, he dismissed my pain. I wanted to scream, to let him know how his lack of support had shattered my self-esteem. Instead, I withdrew into silence, feeling the walls close in around me. I could no longer hide my anger. It was bubbling beneath the surface, ready to erupt. As I lay in bed that night, I reflected on the years I spent supporting my family. Every late night, every holiday spent working while they celebrated without me. The memories flooded back, each one a reminder of my sacrifices. I had put my dreams on hold for them, and in return, I received ridicule. The weight of their ingratitude felt unbearable. Flashbacks of my dedication filled my mind, and I realized how much I had given without recognition. I had become the invisible woman, lost in their shadows. It was time to reclaim my identity and prove my worth. The following week, we gathered for a family dinner, and tensions simmered just below the surface. As we shared a meal, Grant made a careless comment, belittling my career. "Honestly, your job loss is probably a blessing in disguise," he said, smirking at Titus. My heart raced with anger. I felt a fire igniting within me, fueled by years of neglect and belittlement. "You don't understand the sacrifices I've made for this family," I shouted, shocking myself with my own intensity. The dinner fell silent, and for the first time, my voice broke through their indifference, revealing the depth of my hurt. Later that week, I received a message from an old colleague, inviting me to a networking event. I hesitated, but felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this was my chance to reclaim my career. As I prepared for the event, I realized that this was more than just a networking opportunity. It was a chance to step back into the light. I spent hours planning my outfit, practicing my elevator pitch, and gathering my confidence. Despite the anxiety that bubbled within me, I felt a sense of purpose that I hadn't felt in years. Maybe this was the start of something new. As I attended the networking event, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal from my family. They were still having fun without me, planning their weekend getaway while I was out trying to rebuild my life. I overheard Grant and Titus discussing their trip, completely disregarding my absence. Their laughter echoed in my mind, amplifying my resolve. They didn't appreciate what I had done for them, and that realization cut deeper than any insult. I felt a surge of determination to prove to them, and to myself, that I could rise above their expectations and create a life of my own. While going through old paperwork, I stumbled upon a secret savings account I had opened years ago. My heart raced as I realized how much money I had saved without anyone knowing. It was a small fortune, and I had forgotten about it in the chaos of family life. This discovery ignited a fire in me. I could use this money to invest in my future, to pursue my dreams without relying on anyone else. With each passing day, the plan began to form in my mind. A plan that would not only change my life, but also shake the foundations of my family dynamics. With my newfound financial security, I enrolled in personal development courses. I felt empowered as I absorbed knowledge about business management and leadership. I maintained my role as the supportive wife and mother, but inside, I was transforming. I was no longer the passive observer of my life. I was taking charge. Each lesson I learned fueled my ambition, and I started to envision a future where I was the one making decisions, not just following along. I felt a sense of control that had been missing for so long, and it filled me with hope. A few months later, I received an email inviting me to apply for a senior position at my former company. My heart raced with excitement and fear. This was my chance to prove my worth, to show Grant and Titus that I was more than just mom. I worked tirelessly on my application, pouring my heart into every word. I knew I had the skills and experience to excel in this role. As I hit send, a wave of determination washed over me. I was ready to take back what was rightfully mine and reclaim my place in the world. As my application progressed, I began to notice a shift in my family's attitude towards me. They seemed more judgmental, casting doubt on my ambitions. "You're gonna go back there? After they let you go?" Grant scoffed one evening. I felt the sting of his words, but I refused to let their negativity deter me. With each passing day, my resolve grew stronger. I was not just fighting for a job, I was fighting for my dignity. I envisioned the moment when I would walk through that door, holding my head high, ready to show them what I was capable of. When I finally received the call offering me the position, I felt elated. I wanted to share the news immediately, but I hesitated. As I walked through the door that evening, I took a deep breath. "I got the job," I announced, but instead of celebration, I was met with silence. Grant's face twisted in disbelief, and Titus shrugged, unimpressed. "Good for you, I guess," Grant muttered, dismissing my achievement. Their lack of enthusiasm fueled my determination. I would show them that my success was not just a fluke. It was a testament to my hard work and resilience. The next day, I confronted Grant about his dismissal of my accomplishments. "You don't understand what this means to me," I shouted, my voice echoing in the kitchen. He rolled his eyes. "It's just a job, Zafira. You're making a big deal out of nothing." The frustration bubbled over inside me. This isn't just about a job, it's about respect. I felt a surge of power as I finally voiced my frustrations. I realized that I had been silenced for too long. It was time to reclaim my narrative and stand my ground against the dismissive nature of my family. As I settled into my new role, I worked hard to prove myself. I kept my head down and focused on the tasks at hand. I gained recognition within the company, but at home, tensions simmered. Grant's jealousy grew as he saw my confidence blossoming. He would often make snide remarks, trying to undermine my achievements. I learned to navigate the difficult waters of our home life while quietly thriving at work. Every small victory fueled my determination to succeed, and I felt empowered to create a life that was truly my own. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, I snapped. Grant's constant belittling had pushed me over the edge. "You don't get to treat me like this anymore," I shouted. The shock on his face was palpable. "I've dedicated my life to this family, and all I ask for is a little support." I felt lighter after sharing my truth, but I also realized the chasm between us had widened. Grant's arrogance had blinded him to my struggles, and I was determined to close that gap, even if it meant standing alone. A few days later, I received a call from a former mentor, asking if I'd like to grab coffee. I was thrilled to see her again. During our meeting, she encouraged me to embrace my new role and reminded me of my potential. "You've always been a force, Zafira. Don't let anyone dim your light," she said. Her words resonated with me, and I felt energized. I realized that I had the power to redefine my path, not just for myself, but for my family. I was ready to embrace the challenges that lay ahead. When Grant discovered my plans to attend a leadership seminar, he erupted in anger. "You're just trying to get ahead of everyone else, aren't you?" he accused. I calmly countered his claims, standing firm in my resolve. "I'm trying to better myself, not plot against you," I replied, feeling the tension crackle in the air. His hostility only fueled my determination to succeed. I refused to let his jealousy dictate my choices. I was on a path to reclaim my life, and nothing would stand in my way. When my promotion was officially announced, I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. I was met with mixed reactions at home. Grant's envy boiled over, prompting further insults. "You think you're better than us now?" he spat. I stood tall, refusing to let his words penetrate my newfound confidence. "This is my success, and I deserve it," I said firmly. It was a pivotal moment that solidified my resolve. I was no longer the quiet woman hidden in the background. I was stepping into my power. Feeling emboldened, I decided to share my story in a public forum. I detailed my journey, sacrifices, and the betrayal I had faced from my family. As I hit publish, a rush of adrenaline coursed through me. I was finally taking control of my narrative. The response was overwhelming. People reached out, sharing their stories and supporting my journey. I felt a sense of community that I had longed for, and it fueled my desire to keep pushing forward. I was no longer alone in this fight for respect and recognition. As my story gained traction, I noticed a shift in my family dynamics. Grant grew desperate for control, trying to undermine my accomplishments at every turn. I was steadfast in my pursuit of success, knowing that I was finally on the path to victory. With each passing day, I became more resolute in my decision to separate myself from their negativity. I was reclaiming my power, and I felt unstoppable. I knew that the fallout from my revelations would only galvanize my determination to succeed. I made the decision to legally separate myself from the family finances. I opened my own bank account, ensuring my newfound success remained untouchable by their manipulations. It felt liberating to take control of my financial future. I began to invest in projects that aligned with my passions, allowing me to create a legacy that was uniquely mine. As I built my financial independence, I felt a sense of empowerment that I had never experienced before. I was reclaiming my life, one decision at a time. With every success, Grant's arrogance backfired. He was forced to confront the consequences of his past behavior. As our family dynamic shifted, I no longer sought his approval. Instead, I focused on my journey. One evening, he confronted me. "You've changed," he said, his tone laced with frustration. I looked him in the eye. "I finally found my voice, and I won't let you silence me anymore." The weight of my words hung in the air, and I knew that I was standing firm against the toxicity that had once consumed me. Deciding to host a community seminar on self-worth, I reflected on my growth and the lessons I had learned. I wanted to inspire others to reclaim their narratives and embrace their strengths. The turnout was incredible, and as I spoke, I felt the energy in the room shift. People connected with my story, and I felt a sense of purpose wash over me. I was finally using my voice to empower others, and it filled me with joy. This was the life I had always envisioned, and I was living it. In a final family showdown, I confronted Grant about the years of toxic behavior. "You've held me back for too long," I declared. He pleaded for reconciliation, but I was resolute in my decision to prioritize my happiness. "I can't keep sacrificing myself for your approval," I said. The tension in the room was palpable, but I felt liberated. I was no longer at the mercy of their judgments. I was reclaiming my life, and I would not look back. As I embraced my newfound independence, I invested in a new home, symbolizing my rebirth. It was a place where I could create my own narrative, free from the constraints of my past. I filled it with love, laughter, and the memories of my journey. My family may never understand my choices, but I finally felt at peace. I had transformed from the woman who had been belittled into a fierce force ready to take on the world. I was Zafira, and I was unstoppable.